Trustees. This is our budget meeting to review fire and rescue and then highway. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. Does Mike have a copy of the charts?
I'm not sure.
There's
There's some extras.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Hey, Peter. Okay, so just for those who aren't familiar with it, as opposed to last week when water and sewer, we were able to resolve expenses and revenue altogether. This starts the first of 3 meetings where we're just looking at expenses. All right, so we're going to review all the input for expenses and then look at revenues and then try to mass these things together. All right, which takes us to the completion of the full process. Fire and rescue is unique because we have a contract with the town in which they pay a significant portion of, which is why Mike Murphy is here to give his insight and comments too as well. So with that, Ted, take it away.
I don't have, I'm not sure where you want to start. So basically, this is the first time we're doing it in this format.
Yeah.
My previous years have been much more broken out for my purposes than the village has. I'm really happy to see the village breaking it out into smaller categories like this because it makes it a lot easier for us to track, as well as you guys. So that's a huge help. The disconnect that we had last year was between my budget request and the final numbers that were entered into the budget, because I didn't have, I had a copy of that, but I didn't have the two of them side by side at a time in the year when it made sense to me to reconcile them, or I wasn't able to reconcile them. As we went through this process last year, you lowered some items and raised others, and
Without you knowing about it?
not until the final budget came out, in other words. So you sent me a copy of the final budget and explained what happened in certain line items, and then I was trying to reconcile that with mine, which was a lot more broken out.
Okay.
And so that's why we're over in a couple of items, apparatus maintenance and gasoline jump out at me. Employee benefits, that there's a huge disconnect there because I just don't have any figures to go on. I don't know what we spent on insurance. I don't know what we spent on the LoSAP to the end of the year. It's just, we've never been able to get a consistent estimate of what that's going to be from one year to the next.
Okay.
And so it's always either way over or way under. I don't have any recourse for that.
Okay, so this year it is not way over, but I think it's over.
So you're showing employee benefits as being 10,000 over right now, and like I say, I don't have any data. Last year I didn't have any data to make a request for that going to years past.
Well, employee benefits, is that the combination of
that's I don't know if that's part of the problem.
And the okay, you don't know.
So I always lumped liability insurance, workers' comp, and the service awards, which is the PenFlex, the LoSAP, into one category.
Yeah.
And so that the workers' comp, I don't have any clue what we spent. I don't have. It's not here. It's not anywhere. I don't.
But we have a specific
you guys
number
have a
we've
figure
gotten
for that
from the county of what we spend for
and you've
fire.
changed insurance carriers twice in the last 5 years.
Comp?
Yeah, you
No.
said from the county to something else, and then.
Oh, for workers' comp?
Not recently.
Oh, okay.
No, but there was some problem where we are now paying an $8,000 surcharge.
Way too much.
Right?
Yeah.
No, we were paying way too little before.
Okay.
And now for the next, I think 3 or 4 years, we're paying a surcharge
To
of
make
like
up for
$8,000
that.
plus dollars to make up for it. Of which the
But
fire.
the fire department, I've never seen the fire portion of that broken out. I don't know what that.
Okay.
I don't know what our part of that bill is.
It's like 2,000, I think, something like that.
Of the 8,000?
Of the 8.
Yeah, I believe it's about
Okay.
8,000.
And Nicole has broken that out.
Okay, that I've never had. So that's why we're over on employee benefit. Well, like I say,
Well,
your employee benefit line and my insurance line,
don't match.
they're connected, but they're not identical, and I don't know how to
Yeah, so
break
we need
these
to
out.
break that out. So
How to
again,
reconcile that.
we have insurance, liability insurance.
Correct.
You have LoSAP.
Yep.
Sorry, what's low staff?
That's a length of service awards program. It's a retirement sort of.
Thank you. Okay.
For volunteers, every year we
Volunteers.
put a fixed amount of money in for every active employee, I think, who's meet.
Correct.
and a certain
Every
criteria.
employee that meets their 50 points for the year gets a contribution into a
Retirement.
defined contribution.
It's like an annuity.
Great.
Yeah.
That they're paid into.
Okay.
And it's managed by a separate company, so we
Okay.
basically pay into it every year. The fire department gives a certified counting of how many people have passed so many credit hours, and then they get added to the
And so, and part of the, I'm glad we mentioned that, part of the problem with that was that we were historically over budgeting that by a considerable amount until the annual contribution went from $300 to $700 4 years ago, 3
yeah,
years
about
ago.
that, yeah.
So now, and I haven't got because of how that comes out in the year, because of how that's billed to the village, and at what point in the year that's billed to the village, it's very hard for me to track that.
Okay, well, let's come back to the categories. So we have liability insurance, we have LoSAP, we have the cancer insurance, we have workers' comp.
Maybe look into that.
What other categories are there? Are there any more?
That's
We
it.
got
The cancer coverage,
I said that's in there.
that's part of the,
The
yeah,
third, the fourth thing, I said that third. Yeah. Those are the four categories.
those are the four that I'm aware of.
So I think we need to work and break those out, and I think we've actually got those numbers to break out, right? And so we will do that, just so it's clear to everybody, because you're right, we did underestimate this year. I thought part of the problem was, Matt said you guys, cancer insurance initially was for those who were certified to be
The
internal,
state expanded
And the state
the
expanded
eligibility, correct.
in the
That was
middle
part
of our budget
Yes.
process.
That-
So we
that was
actually had to pay a lot more.
largely to blame for that, yeah.
And I
And
think
it didn't, it actually didn't increase total number of eligible people by a huge amount. And there's a difference between exterior members and interior members for how much they're billed, or how much the premium is.
Okay,
But it did affect it.
okay. All right, and as far as your comment about the numbers having changed, I'm not too comfortable with that, but let's just move forward and say, let's not do it again this year. So I want you to be actively involved in, doesn't mean you're gonna get all the numbers you asked for, but at least be participating and be aware of.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are saying.
No, it's-
Now, you said that historically you've gone to your detailed chart, right? I'd like you to do this, I'd like you to use these charts, go through it, and if
Well,
there's questions.
this one that Nicole sent, this matches pretty closely to what I've
Okay.
got here.
But
So
I'll-
that's a big help.
All I'm saying, I didn't send it out to the trustees.
Okay,
What I'd like you to do is go through this table,
Yeah.
and where there's questions about, then you can go to the detail and say, here's why it's 2,000 as opposed to 1,500, that kind of thing.
okay.
All right?
The ones that were, so equipment line item, we're pretty close to on budget. We have a couple more expenses. Let's see where we at. We came up with 8,300.
Yeah, you had a budget this year of
So, yeah.
9,000, you dropped it to 8,300 this year.
Correct, so I budgeted last year for 4 sets of turnout gear, which, that was about $9,000, so I don't have that expense coming this year. I had 4 new people to buy gear for last
Mhm.
year, and I'm
Okay.
looking, I always budget for at least a couple of sets because we lose gear to attrition due to its age. The NFPA recommends a 10-year lifespan
Okay,
for structural firefighting turnout gear. I'm not married to that, I base my decisions when to replace it more on the condition of the gear, because we're not a career department, we're not running, the number of calls per day or per month or per year that they are.
all right,
So I don't think that standard is something that I'm gonna hold my gear to, and I never have.
all right, fine.
This year I did budget for some hose replacement because I expect to lose a couple links in our hose test. We did not lose any last year, which was good, but that's unusual.
Okay.
So I anticipate we'll probably lose some this year.
Now, your year-to-date is only $234 against the budget of 9,000. Expectation, are you spending that money this year or not?
I think some of that may be due to things coming out of the wrong line items.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes, and I can go sit with Nicole and try to, I
Okay,
see we're over, apparatus maintenance, over by 3,000, and I think some of that should have come out of equipment.
okay,
And we've been trying to chase that through the year and make sure things come out of the right line items. We've been doing a lot better this year than we have in years past, but I'll see if there's some of those that we can correct. that'll balance that out a little more. So the hose test typically we do in the May timeframe, which is about $4,000, hose, ladder, and pump testing. We try to do in the late April, early May timeframe, so that's gonna come in under this budget year.
It will make this budget year. Okay,
It's,
good.
it's gonna, yeah,
Okay, fine.
yeah, that's how we've always done it in the past. So that's always a big chunk of that,
All right, fine.
equipment. As far as, let's see, where are we here? So the contractual, there's,
Second line is contractual expenses.
contractual expenses, we are considerably under, and again, I think some of that may be because of stuff coming out of the wrong line items. So the contractual expenses that we budget for are, the big ones that we've been under this year were, air monitor, extinguishers, the, where am I here? Cascade bottle rental and breathing air, and some of our expendable supplies, we haven't used as much this year. So we're considerably under there. I don't know why, it's just an anomaly. Some years we don't use as much of that stuff, and some years we do. And I don't have a way to budget for it. If I drop it this year because we only spent $8,000 of it, then we could be $6,000 over next year.
Yeah, but, you know, in the previous year, I was just reading the last year's report was we only spent 12,000.
Okay.
And I don't see that you're taking it, that you're putting it somewhere else. I mean, because in general, you're on budget.
The rest are pretty close to on budget.
Yeah. So is that number of 20,700 really required?
The just trying to figure out what we've got on here.
I mean, do you see anything
No.
going on for next budget that's going to be above and beyond what you're experiencing either this year or even last year?
No. No, in fact, I lowered things quite a bit this year. My initial request for this year came in, right here, 213, and I think I came in a couple $1,000s under my request for last year.
Yeah, but I looked at the pluses and minuses, you're about right, you're under just a couple thousand. I'm just wondering, is there opportunity here to even shrink that more?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I was looking at
I'd like you to go back and look at that number, the 20,700. I don't want you to cut it back to where we actuals. I want you to be buffered.
Yeah.
We have room to be buffered. You know, I can teach you again next year.
Mhm.
So maybe look at dropping that from 20,000 to down to like 15 now.
Yeah.
Don't answer now. Go back and look at it.
Okay.
Make sure you're not doing something that we're going to be talking about next year.
Yeah.
It'll really not be a large number there, given that your year-to-date is well under. Your experience last year was only 12,000. You're talking about things going on between now and the end of this year that looks like you're not going to get to that full 22.
Correct.
All right. All right, so let's move on. Just take it as a comeback, right?
Okay. Yeah, the gasoline and diesel I always lumped into one
Yeah.
line in my request,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're being grossly overcharged for the gasoline
By who?
by the village. So if you look at our
Those rats.
if you look at the gasoline usage in the printout here,
Yeah.
where are we?
It drives me crazy because it's like a gallon per line item or something like that. I'm going.
Well, no, it's just the opposite. You're showing like 33 gallons, 34
Yeah,
gallons,
that's what I mean.
29
That's what I mean.
gallons.
It's not like.
But the only gas vehicle we're running is Dom's truck, and it's just not. We're not using that much gas. We have one gas vehicle. That's it. There's no way we're using that much gas.
And I'm not reporting that much, so I don't know where those numbers are coming from.
Yeah, you're billing us, or you're deducting us for $1,198, and I would be shocked if we used $600 of fuel. This
So
year.
who deducts you? How's it?
Well, all these things are getting taken out of our line item
Oh, by who? Who are we?
by the village. I don't.
Nicole,
Well, she says that she splits the bill. I'm not sure how she splits it between the highway and the
So
water.
how do they take gas?
it shouldn't be split. She gets numbers, actual numbers.
For
The
how
diesel
much?
gets split,
Right.
but
Okay.
I don't understand. I understand the diesel.
I
right.
don't know. I don't know. Looking at these amounts, I don't.
That's a separate-
Gasoline line, highway, there was to me notably low.
Yeah, we don't have any gas vehicles.
Yeah, you're not running
Is that
gas
right?
vehicles either. Yeah,
Like
and
$600.
like I say, we're down to one.
So not none of
Those
your
definitely aren't the diesel.
Trucks.
No, that's
we
a
have-
separate,
We have no
that's
gas
an- we're gonna
vehicles.
talk about that too.
Okay. Just making sure, yeah.
yeah.
Just lawn
All
mowers.
Alright, so you're only running, looks like 1,200 year to date. So you're on a rate to spend like 1,500. You're saying that you shouldn't be doing that much.
Yeah, well, and they split it out for 1,000 for gasoline and 3,000 for diesel, and I was figuring it to be 2,000 and 2,000 based on the fact, and this is probably my fault. My previous truck was a gas truck, so we were
Yeah.
running two pickup trucks.
Okay,
Honestly, I think the police department's using 1,000 times more diesel, more gasoline than we are.
yeah, okay.
There's no way. I just don't.
Alright,
I agree.
alright, I gotta find out what's going on with the billing of the gasoline.
Yeah, there's no way.
So if that's true, then should the budget be,
We should be considerably under
so
budgeting
should you lower your
$1,000.
budget from, it says it's a budget of 1,000 this year.
Well, we're well under on both. I think so. The diesel, if you look at the diesel line item,
Yeah, you're well under with diesel, yeah.
what's the other half of that? So 1,874 for that one, which I would expect us to spend about maybe 2,000 to 2,500 on diesel.
Okay,
Based on
so going to your requested budget, 2,000 for gas, 2,000 for diesel, you're saying you really should be only needing less than 2,000 for gas.
for gas, I think we can go down.
And for diesel,
I would stick with the diesel for now, only because
stick with the 3,000?
we don't know what the prices are going to
Right.
do going forward
I
this year.
prefer you do that, that you reduce, that you go back to what it is now, the 1,000 for gas, 3,000 for diesel. And I'll follow with Nicole on this, how the billing is being allocated. All right,
Apparatus maintenance, I would have to look at. I noticed we're over on that one too, but again, I think that might be difference in things coming out of the wrong line item. Let me just see. I don't know what's that one. So that's the oath. That's the one that ends in .30. Just trying to find that. So apparatus maintenance. Where's the rest of them? I hate when things print off on the side. I have that one. Yeah, there it is, okay. So, we did run into an issue with the rescue truck this year. That was $3,700 in repairs we had to do on that one.
okay.
And that's almost that's more than what we're over. So I think that was the source of the issue there. Was an unanticipated repairs that we had to have on that. And I shouldn't even say it's unanticipated because that is our oldest apparatus.
Is that
now.
right?
Yeah, I'm budgeting $4,000 for that apparatus for repairs, and we spent closer to $6,000 on it this year. Between its regular maintenance and the repairs that we had to do, which was $3,700. So that's why we did end up over on that.
So my record showed you spent 15,000 last year. You spent 16,000 already this year. Is this an area you should increase the budget and maybe take some of the money that you should be reducing at the
Well, I don't.
CE? Maybe 13,500 isn't enough.
Well, you asked me to lower it last year, so I did.
I did? Okay.
Because I think we were budgeting for that the year before.
Oh, really? Okay.
But yeah, it's that apparatus is due for replacement in 2024, and hopefully we can keep the repairs to a minimum on it next year. But it is creeping up on 20 years old.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So yeah, if we're gonna bump anything, I would suggest that.
so what?
Probably either like 15 or 16 if we take that out of the
Yeah.
contractual
Contractual
expenses
expenses.
where we're so far under.
I mean, you've already spent 16.4 this year. The vehicles age and they don't need less because they're more repairs.
Correct.
So what do you want the contractual expense to be?
So let's see, we were at 22 last year, we've spent 8, and I think we have about another 6 to go this year probably, with the hose testing and the other stuff that comes due at the end of the year. The service on our hydraulic rescue tools usually comes in the spring. The hose and ladder testing, and I'll probably forget. I don't. There's a couple things that kind of sneak in at the end of the budget year, and that's why we leave it that way.
Yeah.
So I would say probably for the fire contractual expenses, bring it to
Once we reduce that by 4 and raise the
Yeah.
apparatus maintenance by
raise the
4.
apparatus maintenance by 4. Yeah. If we go to what is that, 18?
So you take the contractor expenses to 16.7, and you take the apparatus maintenance to 17.5. How's that? It's all a guess, right? You don't know how much repair work you're gonna have, but. Okay, good. Go ahead.
So we talked a little bit. We talked about the workman's comp and the insurance.
Well, wait, we got physicals,
What's that? Oh, physicals.
Physical.
Where's that?
right below the apparatus
Skip
maintenance.
training?
Oh,
Or do we cover training already?
I'm sorry?
Did we skip training?
training.
We skipped training.
Yeah, we
Oh,
skipped
it's your
training.
you're
So,
right, yeah.
so we can lower training, and in fact, I believe I did. I think I dropped some money out of training this year. Yeah, I dropped it 1,000, and we can lower that a little more. So the issue that we have with training is COVID. Last year, 2020 and 2021, there was basically zero training because of the inadvisability of or impracticality of having classroom setting training.
Yeah.
I expect that to change, and I expect us to use more of that than we've always been under on that. And I think we're going to probably come up some because the amount of state training and a couple of larger seminars that we've been sending people to in years past are no longer going to even take place. And so what they're doing is trying to facilitate some other smaller seminars through the County Chiefs Council and our training association. Those seminars are more suitable to a socially distanced learning setup,
Oh, okay, good.
but they are also more out-of-pocket expense because they're presented by private companies as opposed to the state. So the State Office of Fire Prevention and Control is offering less training, and so we're turning to other private trainers to come in and do some of that, or pick up some of that slack, which is going to cost us some more money.
Okay.
So this year we are 11,825 under. I don't foresee us spending a lot more than that before the end of this year. I just dropped the bill off for our annual training for hazmat confined space to Nicole yesterday, but that's only, I don't know, it's like $1,000 or something, so it's not that much. So we're going to be considerably under on that. But
So what do you think it should be for next year?
if we can leave it at the 12,000, I think I would like that. The other thing I'm looking at is possibly, I had spoken to the town a couple of years ago about the house at the old transfer station, or the old house at the transfer station site that we use for training, and we can't use it anymore. It's not structurally usable for us.
Yeah, okay.
So I had spoken with Gary about demolishing that house and making a small training facility there. The fire department is going to foot a considerable part of that bill, the membership, but having a little bit of money in the village budget for equipment and accessories and things like that, I think it'll help us.
So you think out of that category, we're going to come, you get that money?
Some of it, yeah.
Okay.
I can certainly use that category to help with that project.
And Mike, is the town planning to destroy that building?
Yes, they are. Bob Oye has been speaking with a company to come in first to look at what are the hazards within the building, asbestos and stuff. And that report is due back to him soon. And then I know he was working with the department
I
to
talked
schedule
about it a couple
something.
times, yeah.
All right.
And we started on that like over a year and a half
Yeah, it's
ago.
about 2 years now.
And because of COVID,
Oh,
things
yeah.
kind of fell by the wayside, so.
That's a nice lot, if you get it, removed and then go something else.
Correct.
Yeah. Alright, so the bottom line is you wanna keep that 12,000 in there, even
If
though
we
it's,
could, yeah. It's,
you're not
it's,
using
it's
anything close to it.
grossly overfunded for this year, but, I'm hoping to use some more of that next year.
Alright, well, let's keep that in our back pocket, I guess. It's an area we can go and get some extra money if we need somewhere else, but let's see what you got.
Correct.
Alright, go ahead.
So the physicals, we dropped to 7,400, which I think is more in line with what we're actually spending. Again, that's something that fluctuates from year to year as we gain and lose members. So we were, let's see, where were we at? I don't have it for last year.
Yeah, last year was 8,000.
Last year was 8,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't,
okay.
it just, yeah, less people take their physicals this year, we lost some numbers. A couple people moved away, and some other people joined. So it's hard to predict that, unfortunately. The employee benefits, I believe, was the LoSAP that we talked about. Again, it shows us being 10,000 over on that. What's that?
I think that has cancer, the cancer policy,
That's so-
and the
And the LoSAP.
LoSAP that was under
Right.
budgeted.
So I'm not sure.
So that's LoSAP and cancer?
I believe that's what Nicole told me.
Correct.
And-
Yeah.
and
cancer
do we have a
policy.
number for cancer? Insurance?
Cancer policy was 5,000.
Is that supposed to be next year?
I don't.
Okay. So we just got a message from Marshall and Sterling to assume a 5% increase on insurance, liability insurance.
Okay.
Um,
So I don't have a way to predict that. My total number of members isn't going to change this year,
Mhm.
or not by any significant amount.
Okay.
So the LoSAP is the biggest portion of that.
Ted, did you say before that LoSAP partly changed, the legislature changed benefits?
No, the cancer coverage changed
Okay.
because the legislature changed the eligibility. The total number of people eligible for that coverage increased from the first year that they had it.
It used to be for just interior.
Just interior
That's how
firefighters.
we usually announce it.
And now they've
And now it's
expanded that
exterior.
coverage to include exterior firefighters going back X number of years.
But he also said that we significantly increased the contribution to the village next every year for the LoSAP
LoSAP.
funding. So we pretty
About
much
3
doubled
years
it, I
ago.
think.
A little more than
Okay,
doubled
yeah.
it, which we appreciate immensely.
Mhm.
But it
Okay,
did
so
affect
that
our
was
bottom
a
line.
few years ago.
That
We
was-
Yeah,
anticipated that.
But I think he's saying we didn't correctly account for that.
We were grossly over budgeting it when we had the lower contribution amount, and so it sort of balanced out for a couple of years, and I think it finally caught up.
All right, so we should put in the same 5% kicker for the cancer insurance, and then.
Or break that out into the insurance line item, by some other, I'm not sure what the answer is there. I'm not sure why that cancer coverage is lumped in with the LoSAP, to be honest. I
Yeah.
don't, that's a
So,
your
so
end.
we'll talk to Nicole about whether we can break that out. Is
We
that another
should.
line item? or-
It should
It would
just be
make more sense for
LoSAP.
it to be
I'm
in
sorry?
Yeah.
that line item really should just be LoSAP.
At one time, there was just a LoSAP.
It was meant to be just LoSAP. I'm
I
not
see.
sure why it was
Okay.
taken out
Yeah,
there.
that
All right, so we'll
cancer
get that-
coverage
we'll get it
really,
broken
it
out.
should be under
We
insurance.
can just do another sub-account for the cancer policy,
Good.
so we can track it.
Yeah.
So was that a death benefit?
No, that's that annuity, basically, for volunteers
cancer.
once they retire.
No, the cancer policy is a mandatory coverage, which is required for all fire departments to carry in New York State. I believe it might even be nationally. Each state administers it a little differently, but it's for treatment of cancers that are associated with the fire service.
Yeah, it really should be LoSAP. It's so different.
All right, so we'll break that out. Workers' comp, we'll check that number. I think that 20,000 is pretty much correct.
It looks like we're pretty close there.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that's the right number. And the rest of the insurance, this is where I said we just got,
So that's liability, right?
that's liability, right?
Again, I have to rely on you guys for that figure because
Yeah.
I don't see it till late in the years.
So basically, the 5% on top of the 25.4, I assume that's what we're paying this year. Puts us a little more above 26,000. So I think here we should just update that so it's the 5% added to the 25.4.
So what does that bring our total to for that?
Let's calculate that.
$715 or so onto the 26.
750?
$715.
So that gives a total number of what?
26, $715, give or take.
Well, I'm doing it times the 25,443. The actual-
what's actually expended.
So what do you get for that? You get 26,700?
715.
Yeah, okay, 715, right. So let's make that, instead of 26,000, 26,715. That catches the 5%. And we're gonna go change those numbers that are in the employee benefits and workers' comp based on what we got.
We can break them out.
Yeah, we'll break those out. So Ted, I'll make sure you get feedback on what those numbers turn out to be. All right, so next is the ambulance reserve. Why?
Well, we do still have one ambulance, and at some point we may have to replace it. That's, you and I talked about that.
I know.
It's not.
I would rather wait until we get to that point. I mean, we had a
I
discussion
take
last
no
year that
issue with
says,
that.
huh?
I don't take any issue with that.
Okay.
It's not.
So we can take that out?
Can we switch it to the fire apparatus reserve? Because we've been underfunding that for 20 years now.
I know. We just made a nice deposit for 79,000 that you got from selling it, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Speaking of that number, on the asset management report that you did, you indicated you needed an air conditioner for $10,000. I don't know if it's embedded
So
in
here's
it.
That's,
That's house.
that's
budget,
house.
Not fire.
That's not
That's
fire.
not fire.
All right, so we'll get to it in a
Okay,
minute.
but I don't think I saw it in any budget, but, okay.
Yeah, we'll wait to get to Matt. I'm gonna start writing something down.
Not to give you any ideas or,
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vicky.
they haven't been comfortable.
All right, so we agreed not to put the 10,000 into reserve?
That's fine.
I just
Like
think
I said, I don't.
we had a discussion last year, will we ever need an ambulance? And I think if we get to that point, X number of years down the road, then we should probably start talking about
It'll be in about 10 years.
10 years, right? Okay.
Because the current one is, no, it'll be a little less than that. That was in 19. The other ambulance was 2019.
The way you guys take care of those vehicles, I mean, please.
No, we
But
could
if you
extend
take it out, can
We
you
could
put it back in?
What do you mean, put it back in a future year?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
I didn't know if you needed that
No.
as a line item type thing.
Mike, any comments about that?
No, it sounds logical.
To not put a reserve in?
Right.
Okay, good. So
Just
we'll
didn't you
take-
change the account from ambulance to rescue, fire, repair? So we don't really have a ambulance
No, that
rescue
was it.
reserve account.
Say again?
We changed the ambulance reserve account to rescue, fire, repair.
No, because that,
No, that was a different.
so last year we had a situation where
There was money that was earmarked. for
Trooper Garden had donated $15,000 towards a new ambulance. The rescue team was asked to change it from an ambulance to materials that they could use, right?
So the rescue squad had already purchased the ambulance outright when that
Right.
$15,000
That's
donation
right.
was made. So the village was. I'm not. You and Laurie talked several times about that. I know, and
Right.
Laurie wanted that put into the rescue squad's operating budget, and the village was resistant to that, and so they established a separate account for that deposit.
Basically, what I said to Laurie is, go get a letter from Trooper Garden saying, the money we sent you that said was for an ambulance
Can be used for
be
general
used
operating
for-
expenses.
right.
Correct.
And we got that letter last year.
Exactly.
Therefore, we made that separate account.
Yep.
We also
So
moved
the-
into that account $20,000 that we accrued from the ambulance reserve,
Okay.
right? And as I said before, that $20,000 is gonna be used as a partial payment of the village and town's responsibility for the new roof,
Okay.
all right?
And that balance is 35,000.
Yeah, that's why, that's 35,000, and that's why, we'll get to her, the ambulance, CE in a minute. Let's stay here.
Okay.
So we agreed to take the 10,000 out for
Correct.
the ambulance reserve.
Yep.
We'll keep the 60, all right, for another year.
It's only hurt the village.
So Mike, you know the story that they sold the old ambulance for $79,000, the agreement was we would put that into the reserve, and so we're gonna do that. And I said that that's a reason why Ted needs to busting my chops, at least for this year, about increasing the 60,000. So we'll have a discussion again next year, I'm sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, good. Let's move on.
So then the last two are just the installments on the.
All right, but
the two,
16,000, there's no reason to raise that number, right?
No, that can stay.
I reduced it to 12.
12.5, and we paid 826. I assume that the interest is about the same.
I believe it's 276. Now, it shows that your pickup, it shows that it's 2025, but I'm showing it paid off in 2023.
It should be 2023. Well, we have two pickup trucks. One, the 2014, I think is paid for,
I hope so.
but
Okay, well then,
but it's due for replacement in 2024.
We'll talk about that after we pay off this one we got.
So
Okay.
the other one is in 19, and it should be
so
paid off.
22,
in
23, this will be paid off.
Yeah,
I
I think
don't-
it's labeled incorrect.
Is that right?
I don't have that.
It's 23.
So we need to change this.
All right, good. So you put the right numbers in for those two items,
Yep.
the principal and the interest. Okay, good. All right, next page. So this is Matt.
So this is the house budget portion. So that's it, I'm done.
You don't have to leave, you can stay. But I want, I'm leaving.
So again, overall, you guys did a really good job of staying about where you were last year. So take us to the details now.
I came down on a few things overall. I went up on a couple things. Vicky, to answer your question first about the air conditioner, when you asked me to do that proposal, that was for a 5-year. So that was my thinking was that we would have to replace that air conditioner in 5 years,
Good.
not this
Oh, good.
year
That's fine.
per se. That was
I
like
didn't have a date in
for the
years.
ramp
Yeah,
as well. In the next 5 years, we would have to replace that.
okay.
Um,
I saw back in the 1980s and I got.
Well, that was when it was done, and the only reason why we had to replace the identical one next to it is because it failed, and it was like brutal summer that year.
We don't
That was an
want
emergency.
So, if it's okay,
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Go ahead.
So for the, what do you want to start with?
Contractual
I'm in the
expenses?
same boat as Ted. This is my new way of doing this
Yeah, okay.
as well. The dumpster rental.
But the same category, which is basically, talk to us at the high level, which is the whole CE category. And if there's any big differences there, tell us why. And if there's no big differences, I think we can move on.
I mean, we're basically on budget.
Yeah,
We budgeted 10,000 to change, and we're a little over
I mean, what I see is
6,000 now.
you increase the utilities 1,000,
But we're still
budget
3
to
months,
budget.
3 months out.
You
from the end of
increase
the year.
the heating fuel 1,000, I think you might be,
That's my question as well.
well, what,
Let's go to the fuel expense.
okay?
I don't see where I'm at $5,552.26 paid in fuel year to up now.
Okay, is
That's
that-
a little bit high.
Is that gas or diesel we're talking? Or is that heating
That's
fuel?
the heating fuel.
Oh, heating fuel.
Because Nicole paid out $2,716.30 in the month of January. That just seems a little high for me.
Okay, all right.
So that's why I went up $1,000, because if that's
Well, the
the
reason to go up
case,
$1,000 is just where the price of fuel is going,
right?
and we haven't seen the top yet, so.
Just I don't, because January 2nd she paid $546. January 17th, $1,037, and then at the end of the month, $1,100. Just seems a lot. Seems high.
Okay, I'll go back and ask her to lay it out, break it out, see how if she's doing any allocations, and we'll make that public. The fact that January was a cold month, but those seem like big numbers to me, so I have no idea.
Right.
Okay, so I'll take that as a follow-up, I get back to you.
So that's why I went up in the fuel $1,000.
And
If this
what I'm
is-
asking you, is that enough?
Yeah, because we've got 1,000 in there almost, and we're probably 2 months out of
Okay,
the end of the heating season. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
mid-April, end of April, probably we'll still have the heat on at least for a little bit. So.
Yeah, sure.
I would expect a couple.
Okay, fine.
We may end up a little bit over by the end of this year, so that'll give us a little bit of a wiggle room for next year.
Okay.
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
with the cost of fuel, you could eat up $1,000 in one delivery.
We do, every time.
Right.
Each
How
one,
many
each,
times-
each
How many
one
times
is
a year do you get it?
4 usually.
I just got a delivery at home. I was paying last year $600 on a delivery, paid $850. And it's not, and the market today, gasoline tops $1.25 a gallon, and you're saying that fuel oil's gonna skyrocket
Gasoline, what, 125 a gallon?
on the market to buy crude oil
Well, a barrel, you mean?
Yep.
Oh, it went to $125 a barrel.
today.
Okay.
And they're projecting that by the end of the weekend, you could see gasoline, regular gasoline at the gas station at $3.76. And it's going up like, it went up in a week, 25 cents.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We haven't seen the top yet, so.
I wonder if you're being a little too conservative on your fuel lines and your heating lines.
I mean, I can raise that, but I just don't want to be over budget.
But if you're under budget and
No,
you
no,
get hit
no.
with
It's
big
just better to
bills,
raise it and be under, you know, as opposed to not raise it and be over.
Well, we have money in the other 2 line items too.
The way this thing works is, to be blunt, the town pays about 80% of the bill for fire and rescue, right?
Right.
They pay 80% of what is expended up to the budget. The village pays 100% of everything that's over the budget, all right? So therefore, as a village person, I want to make sure that you don't go over budget,
Correct.
all right? So I'm going to squeeze you as much as I can, but I don't want to squeeze you so much that you're over budget because the village pays 100% of that.
Okay, raise it to 20,000.
You've got the right concept. I think you just went a little too far.
I mean, we could raise it another 1,000 to be safe. Make it 8,000.
You pay market rate, or are you on like a payment? Or are you on a plan?
It's whatever the village
You know, we
pays.
have a
With the town.
a
I'm on a
deal with
plan.
the town for we get a contracted price, I believe, right? Bob?
Yes.
Yeah, it goes out to bid and
Yeah. So we actually are with the town. We pay the same wage that the town pays.
What is that an annual?
Yeah.
And I think it's an annual
Negotiation or-
contract that they do,
it
right?
goes out every, yeah, it
Yeah.
goes out
Is it
to
a
bid
fixed-
every year.
Is it a
and
fixed price contract?
Yeah, it's fixed
Oh, it is.
price.
Okay.
Fixed price for the whole year.
Yeah.
So it really can't go up until,
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't matter what the price is now.
I think your fuel delivery companies are going to start to become very aggressive.
Oh, they should be. Yeah. I think the next time we get a contract, we're going to see a significant cut to it. Okay. So I think you should raise it to 2,000. I don't know.
So go to 9.
9. Any thoughts on that?
No objection.
No objection from mine.
No, I'm talking
Okay.
about the board. And Mike, so, okay, so do 9 there, because you dropped the repairs and maintenance down $3,200. Why is that?
Well, I'm still waiting on a vote or a quote.
No
For-
boats, no boats in the firehouse.
You just shot a Jameson.
You're waiting for a quote?
I for the replace the broken blinds in the upstairs of the firehouse.
Okay,
Replacing these. I just met with the blind lady today.
okay, fine.
Um,
How did
She's
she
not
measure that?
You take your act around town, or you just do it here?
Just here.
with the representation of the company today, which they were supposed to meet with me last week. That fell through. So replace the windows, those 8 windows over there,
Yeah,
which is here. I got a quote for a little under 21,000, but that could change.
is that a deal to be done this year? Because I see you've only spent 1,000 of your 20,000 budget this year.
Well, because the roof is what we put in for
Well, that's 14,000 of that is the roof, that's right.
for the that was the only improvement
Okay,
was the roof, and that's still pending.
okay.
So that's also why I put in there for the new roof installment, so you guys would know, but we don't know what the cost of that's gonna be.
Okay, right. Yeah, Mike, remember the agreement last year was that the fire company was gonna pay half, we would pay the other half, we were gonna break ours out. We estimated $54,000, we said 14,000 a year for 4 years, someone had a contract with me saying that we're committed to do that, but.
We do, that hasn't been done up yet because I'm not sure
Oh,
what
you know the price yet?
the price is.
Well, we can set
But
our
the-
price now if you want, but
But the
you're
fire
not gonna like
department,
it.
the fire department is footing the entire bill.
No, you're
Village is
putting
gonna
half of it.
reimburse us for half of it.
Correct.
Yeah, you're gonna pay the whole thing and we're gonna reimburse you
Correct.
half over 4 years. Actually, an accelerated rate, because we are gonna pay the 20,000 we just talked about, that's in the
EMS.
EMS, right? Okay. So for this year, I'm assuming you get this contract done and going this year, we have 14,000 from the current budget and 20,000 from that separate fund we got.
Right.
Which
So
will actually
that's why
shorten our 4-year time.
my capital improvements
Okay,
is
so what you're saying is 14,000 of the
In the-
current budget as well as next year's budget is what we put aside for our contribution towards the new roof.
correct.
And with the other things you're doing, the new windows and the blinds, that's within the delta between what you spent already and the rest of the. Like, how much the new blinds gonna be about?
I won't know until
Oh, you don't know,
You don't have the quote back, that's what it's.
when you get the quote.
Like she's going to email it to me in the next week or so.
Okay. So let's do this, let's stay with the number you've got, and then based on the quote, you're gonna tell us if it's high, low, or,
Well, the windows are in the rough range of $20,000
and how are you gonna pay for those? Over what time frame?
next year.
He's budgeting for it.
That's what I'm
That's
budgeting
his
for.
budget request.
The
They're
roof
in
is
the-
not in this
They're in the
number.
25,000?
Correct.
They're in the
So
25,000.
there's a big hole here.
No, wait a
It's
minute,
21,000.
as I just said,
Where's that number from, that 21,000? That's from a quote?
That's from a quote.
Okay. So he has a quote for around 21,000 to replace those 8 windows. And then he has 2, the roof installment and the blind replacement that are still in limbo because we don't have figures for those yet. We won't have a figure for the roof installment until we have a.
all right, but as I said
Bid.
before, look at the budget for this year, 28,200. Included in there was 14,000 for the roof. And included in your request for next year, 25,000, is 14,000 for the roof. Okay?
But I don't. You guys gave me the 25,000 for the capital improvements. I didn't put 25,000 in. That came from your side. I don't have in my capital improvements the roof installment because we don't know what that is. It's at limbo right now.
Project's still underway.
I know we don't know what it is, that's why we put in a placeholder of 14,000 each year though, in that line item. What are we not communicating?
I don't understand where.
When we did the budget last year, you see the columns last year's budget? That 28,200 included 14,000 that we were gonna be paying towards the roof.
Okay.
And we said we were gonna be doing that 14,000 for 4 years. Right, to get to a total of 56,000 estimated our contribution towards the new roof. So 14,000 of 28.2 and 14,000 of 25 are going towards the roof. Now, if you've got other things you're gonna add on top of there, you gotta make sure you correctly accommodate for that.
I'm lost.
I'm still not doing that, okay.
I'm
It's in
confused.
that 25,000.
14,000.
The 14,000.
So this says department head request, that's for next year or for
Well-
last year?
Okay, so wait a minute. That's for this coming fiscal year, starting June 1st of 2022,
So this is going forwards, okay. So last year we budgeted 28.2.
of which
14,000
14,000
was for the roof,
for the roof,
which isn't expended yet.
right?
So we have 14.2 that's unaccounted for,
That's right.
right?
Well,
Or we have
14,2 minus
we
the 1,000 you spent,
Okay,
right?
13,000.
That's what you have to spend this year. All I'm saying is when you come in to ask
So we have-
25,000 for next year,
We still have 13,000 in this year that's not expended. That's what it's getting at. So
yeah, that's fine. But my also point is, when you ask for 25,000 next year, you have to understand that 14,000 of the 25,000 is gonna be for that roof. That's where that's gonna be.
Correct.
15,000 is going that line. So if you have something other than that, on top of that, you need to.
So if you're gonna budget 21,000 for this,
You need to add.
you need to add it to that.
Right, but yeah, okay.
So where did that
But I don't-
25,000 come from?
Yeah, that's where I'm confused.
That's from you, that's.
No, it is not.
Well, I didn't give you that number.
His request says 21.
Nicole gave, well, whoever did this
Nicole
budget.
gave you that number?
Well, no,
Someone put
whoever
that
did
number
this
in there.
budget on your end put that 25,000 in
No,
there.
this came from you.
Right, it says 21,000 for the windows.
Maybe she just miskeyed it.
What?
Perhaps she miskeyed.
Oh, you're saying it should have been 21,000?
But it's incomplete because we're still waiting
Because
for
I'm
those
still
other
waiting
two
on
figures. He's waiting on a quote for the blinds, and he's waiting on the roof bid to be closed so that we know what our installment's gonna be.
Isn't the blinds gonna be covered in this year's budget?
No,
Well, what are you doing with the remaining,
Well, that's the next question, is can we do it? in this
can
year's
I
budget?
do it in this year's budget?
all I'm telling you is that you've spent 1,000 of 28.2 so far.
Because all I had in
And,
last,
no, let me finish. And 14,000 of remainder is gonna be set aside for the roof. So you have 15,000
13.
minus 28.2 is
13
13,000
and change.
left to spend this year.
$13,113.
That sounds pretty good.
$13,100.
So this is what you still have left this year to spend.
okay,
So my
I think
question
it
to
should
you
cover
is-
the blinds.
Huh?
It should, yeah.
it should, yeah.
That's a lot of blinds.
Okay,
Well, I would expect it to be in the $8,000 to $10,000.
Because in my budget, in the thing that I have from last year is 110,000. And,
110,000.
well, that was for the new roof, we didn't know about it.
Yeah, right, okay.
But before you guys, and that's on the same boat as this, before you guys go and finalize the entire budget, you should let us know exactly what it is. So we know, because I didn't have that 28,000 until I got this budget. I didn't know that there was money in there that we could do another budget, because another project, I mean, because what I was thinking was the roof. I didn't earmark anything else.
Well, and the roof has been not confusing, but the roof's been a source of confusion because of we not having the figures for that. And some of that's going to be alleviated once that bid comes back and we know
Yeah, right,
an
that'll
actual
make,
concrete figure of what it's going to cost.
right.
So until then, we're kind of in loose ends with it. But
So,
to end this issue, yes, we can probably get the blinds done under this year's budget if that's acceptable to the village. So we won't have any problem with that, as long as the work can be scheduled in a timely manner to get that done before the budget year closes.
I'm looking at last year's submission that you made. And where do I find repairs and maintenance? There's maintenance, 4,200.
I don't have that. I only have
All
what I
right,
do.
so can you tell me from here, where are your repairs and maintenance total?
It's under capital improvements.
Is it 28,200?
No, it's 110,000.
Well, the only thing we were
We
focusing
definitely
on,
took that out.
right?
We had a big laugh about it, and we took it out. And then we came back and said, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna pay half, you're gonna pay all of it up front,
Right.
and then we would pay you back half over 4 years. Which is where we got the 14,000 as our estimate at the time.
Right.
What we put in for each budget.
So we left the other $14,000 in there.
Yeah, so.
But that figure is what we didn't have. Whatever. If it was here, if it showed in our previous printouts, it was lost in the whole business with the roof.
Okay, I don't know why you guys didn't, I wasn't talking to Wall when we were doing this, it was with you guys.
Right.
And Steve Trletti's was here, he was the rep at the time for the town. We didn't go around it was a pretty straightforward discussion, it wasn't a round and round thing where we got confused, I thought we were pretty straightforward. So anyway, so where we are right now is,
So we have $13,000 of change still left in this budget.
right, so is that gonna cover?
It should cover
I would
the
hope.
the blinds without any problem.
I would hope so.
You got me doing it now too.
$13,113.
Yeah, that should be plenty.
Then you won't have
That's-
enough.
Do you have to go out and get bids for those?
Correct.
So you're
Well,
gonna
we're
get several
budgeting for the
bids?
windows for
Called budget
next year.
bonds?
That's the 21,000 that's going to invest for next year.
Is that a company budget
Yeah,
bonds?
yeah, they come and they measure and so forth, and, I mean,
And that's
Okay,
that's-
let's hold on, so we'll make sure we're clear on this year. 13,100 is left to spend.
correct.
yeah,
We will make every effort to get the
13,113.
blinds done and get it paid for.
Yeah. I'm hoping it doesn't cost all of that.
Before
No,
May,
no, it shouldn't.
Before May 31st.
Right, that's what I'm
Correct.
saying. If we can get them to schedule the work in time to do it,
Yeah.
that's going to be the very
I didn't realize, so going back to that, I didn't realize that there was
that much on it.
Money
very
available.
much. Exactly,
Okay,
money
fine.
available.
We were
Alright.
going on the
Alright, so now we're clear
assumption
on the current budget,
that
right?
balance was mostly.
So let's talk about the next year's budget. 25,000 Oh, you didn't put it, okay, so someone put 25,000 in
Right.
it. Okay.
He's only
I have
accounting for
21,000.
21 right now, but he's still waiting for these other two
But you
figures.
didn't include the 14,000 has to be in there for our second payment towards the roof.
Correct.
Correct.
So we're
that-
so we're
So
talking
have
about,
I have.
so you're talking
on
about
top of that roof
35,000.
Installment?
Yes,
Correct.
so you're talking about 35,000, what is what should go in there.
Estimated. Again, we're not gonna know that for sure until we get the bids back for the roof.
Can you do one of these?
14,000 is estimate, right. The 21,000 is a
Right.
good estimate.
The 21,000 is a quote.
Right, okay, fine.
Can you do one of these like windows where you can do like a couple each year? Do they all have to be replaced in 1 year? You know, you can like,
Well, it's the whole wall. So I would hate to do two windows because the air is coming through those windows.
right.
How many windows
Because
is it?
there's like companies
eight
that,
windows.
like,
Eight windows.
we contract them and they say, okay, we're gonna give you over the next 2 years, 4 windows this year, 4 windows next year, and we're gonna guarantee the rate and so forth to break it up.
With the cost of everything going up,
Yeah.
you
They,
We'll pay more than that.
Here's what I'm recommending is the following.
there's,
Look at how you're doing budget year to date. You're pretty much in good shape with a lot of back end spending expected. See how much of the windows you can cover with this year's budget. Okay? Because if the lines aren't 13,000, there's extra there. If you look at your other expenditures, you may have some excess there too.
Okay.
Right? So see how much you can cover with this year's budget. Make an estimate of that. And then let's see about how much we need to increase next year's budget. I don't want to increase the 25,000 to 35,000. That's what you're asking for, right? It would be 14,000 for the roof plus
Plus
21,000 for the
21,000 for the
windows.
windows, correct.
so if we don't say the blinds come in at 6,000
Yeah,
and we have that,
then you can get 2 of those windows done this year's budget. You know, they're about $3,000
But-
for.
can that money be rolled over to,
We won't roll the money over. You'll
That's
spend. You'll
Okay.
spend it, and you'll spend it with budget money from this year until you spent the full 28,200, and then you'll start tapping into next year's budget.
and that, I mean, the 21,000 is only from one company. I still have to get 2 other quotes. So,
Oh, okay, fine.
So the
Okay.
quotes,
Could go up again.
it could go up and down.
Hopefully, yeah.
But if it goes up, then I would be using the quote that I have.
Okay.
So what do you wanna put in for that? Do you wanna keep the 21 and the 14, or do you wanna go down on the 21,000?
I want to go down.
And, you know, also to look at the other aspect of it is, you know, we helped the village out last year for footing the bill of the roof in the beginning.
Well, no doubt about it.
So,
You know, the fact that the fire company came forward with Apple was a savior. Right? No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay.
so I'm gonna get all windows done now.
No, we're saving for the air conditioner, biggie ones. Here's what I want to do. Let's do this. I don't want to put in the full 21 plus 14, 35. Let's put in 30, and then you update us within the next month. Like this month, you need to get us some better numbers that we'll decide we don't need to revise that. How's that? So we'll put 30 in instead of 35. How's that?
That makes sense.
Again, that's 14 for the roof and 16 for the remaining portion for the windows. And we'll see what happens with the quotes and how much you have left over for this. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah. You haven't addressed your air conditioning yet. Are you gonna allocate that to pay for
That's
that
gonna be-
over 4 years? or
That's gonna be
not?
subsequent year. We'll have discussion. That'll be like starting maybe next year, 2 years from now.
So you don't wanna put money in this year and allocate it over the next 3 years, because you say you may not change it for the next 2 to 3 years?
I'm hopefully not gonna change it into a, you know,
Dies.
dies. I didn't wanna jinx it. But they had asked for a list of items for, that we would have to repair or change in the next 5 years.
See, that's what we just did in our meeting the other day. I suggested to both the highway department and everybody in the office, start doing a inventory control sheet where you are projecting, in how many years do I have to get rid of this truck? In how many years do I have to get rid of this computer system? In how many years do I have to get rid of the rugs? And then build on that, because then you can roll things over. Don't wait till something breaks. Wait till you feel it needs to be replaced.
Yeah, that's exactly what Vicky actually was the lead on this thing, to pull it from all the departments We did
You
put a
don't get
limit
blitzed
on,
with a big
only
bill when
things-
it comes in.
the only things that are $5,000 or greater in cost.
Yeah.
We said there was a limit for 5,000 or greater. Okay. So we have that list now. Soon the air conditioner's on that list. And the reason why I don't want to do any allocation now is because we're allocating for the roof,
Yeah.
14,000. So let's finish paying off the roof and then we can talk about something else. All right.
So why don't you just make the
As long as
ambulance
those air
reserve
conditioners don't die this summer.
into the equipment reserve?
No, not yet. Because again, we're paying 14,000 a year for the accrual of payment for this roof. I'm gonna do that now, and let's get that cleared up. Okay.
Just an idea.
I know. Okay, so we're clear on the budget, we're gonna change up to 30,000?
Yep.
Right?
Good.
All right, and then we'll get an update from you, hopefully no later than the end of this month.
A couple weeks, go back.
And hopefully by then we also know about the roof. Well, the roof now, we've got a
March 10th.
date,
March 10th.
Okay.
And if I, going back to that added extra money that I knew I had, if I known that I could have gotten quotes earlier.
I don't know why we miscommunicated.
Well, the roof kind of overshadowed everything.
It certainly did, but I thought we were clear on how much was for the roof, how much was the rest.
We weren't,
Okay,
not on
fine.
your end.
Maybe we should sit down like before the formal meeting and go through your proposal and put them in these categories so that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So maybe we'll do that even after we finish this. So we make sure that everything's in there, but also it'll just start getting you familiar with the line items that are here.
So you want to do that for this year, or are you talking about next year?
Well, kind of both next year, but I want to double check their proposals with what is on the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Well, you've got the proposals there.
Right, you've got,
That's
or at
the
least,
sheet.
I know
Oh,
Nicole has these sheets here.
okay, yeah.
So
we filled those and sent
Yeah.
them to Nicole. Up until this year, we were just doing it as an Excel. just
But
asking
we had to
to
then
build-
take that and put it into
Correct.
our spreadsheet for the budget, so
Right.
that's what we're trying to get one level down.
No, and this is great.
Yeah.
The way that we're doing it now is a huge improvement.
Okay.
And we'll continue to improve on it.
We'll continue to make it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the final thing here is the office. Basically, you're raising $500, okay. Right now.
Correct.
Okay, fine. Any questions about the firehouse?
It's firehouse cleaning,
Firehouse.
swinging people.
Yes,
Yeah.
cleaning company.
Pay a lot for that.
Yeah, look, it appears that way.
Yeah. It's a big area. And it gets used a lot, so
Yeah.
that's what happens. That went out to bid. We had a problem, the history is that we had a problem with like the first couple of guys we got, right? Basically, it started off fine and it just went to hell in a handbasket. So
And
they
they
went
were-
to,
They were billing us for cleaning when they weren't showing up. Or they'd they'd show up, bill us for the amount, and we're here for 5 minutes.
so the bottom line, Peter, is the guy they have now is not the cheapest. He's the one that's been dependable and doing a good
A
job.
bit more reliable and upfront about what he's doing than the other ones.
Okay, let's move on to ambulance. So we got the submission from Laurie.
Okay, I don't have that.
Basically, she's asked for the same 13,000.
It's in this.
Again, every year she asks for 13,000, we put her back to 12. The only thing is that she did include in her submission a new, cart, what do you want to call it? No, she's asking for a new, huh?
This one, Laurie's.
It was in Laurie's,
The only one I see here is she's got protective gear, which again, they're in the same boat we are with the replacing gear as it outdates. So
Alright,
she
so-
keeps a little bit of money in there for that. And then the EMR system. the electronic
yeah, what's his
EMR.
name? Oh, here.
Correct.
Is this it? No, that's the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for her submission, which came over as a fax.
Oh, this thing here with the powered cot? It's in
Yes,
the,
that's it.
Yeah,
The power cop. What's the story with that?
but we're not doing that.
Okay.
I'm gonna overrule her on that.
Okay.
It's completely unnecessary.
All right, so I don't know why we should change the budget from 12,000 to 13,000. I mean, years past, first off, the year-to-date,
What's the year-to-date on the?
Karen, that's the, see that 24,492? So that is what money they spent that's supposed to come out of that,
Oh, gotcha.
that
Okay.
15,000, right?
Yep.
So what I said was I wanted them to spend the 12,000 that was in the budget first,
Oh, just.
and then take money from that separate category. So what they should show is, the final budget ought to show just 12,000, and we should reduce the delta from the savings account, or bank account, whatever that is.
The reserve account,
Yeah, what's that called? The,
the fire rescue
Reserve.
repair.
yeah, repair, that's right,
Operating-
yes,
Operating reserve.
yes. All right.
Where the,
So, Ted, given that we still have money in there, I'd like to reduce her request from 13,000 back to 12.
I'm just looking at, okay, so the overage this year was the AEDs that they replaced.
That's right, and I was using the money out of that
Correct.
repair rescue account.
Now, oh, I see, okay. So wait a minute now, I see two line items here, I'm really gonna hope we didn't pay that bill twice, that 14,532. Because it shows a debit to the rescue squad and it shows a debit to CF Medical. I just wanna make sure that we didn't pay it twice.
So the fact that the line item is 12,500 over the budget, I assume that's one-time payment for those AEDs.
Okay.
See, because 12,000 is for the standard stuff that's on our list over here, supplies, CPR stuff, EMR system.
6, 7, 8, 9. I'm only seeing about 10,000.
Okay, that's roughly, it's not, it says to me you didn't pay twice for it. All right.
All right, good.
But what it also says is that there's still some money left in that 15,000. All right,
In what? Oh, in the reserve.
right, okay,
Okay.
to spend for next year,
Yeah, yeah.
all right? So I'm gonna put that back to 12,000.
Yeah.
Just to be consistent year to year. Okay, Karen? At 13,000 goes to 12? Got it?
Yep.
And then for the paid ambulance, that goes up 2.5% per year, this 395 goes to 405. That's what you should put in there. That's a contractual obligation of that. 5-year contract we started in 2019.
And that is a fixed increase, right?
Right. Any more questions to the fire? Dom, anything to report? Good move.
Dom's first time sitting through it. So
Yeah, good move on your part.
Took care of it.
So, Buffy, what was that, budget lines?
Yeah, there's a company called Budget Blinds. I'll give you a couple of names. If you want, I can email them to you.
Sure.
And then, like the Anderson windows, they do this kind of like big budget windows over so many years for replacing windows, like in homes and so forth. I don't know if they do it in commercial buildings, but.
The only thing that would concern me
They're
about
pretty
that,
good,
Anderson, it's called Anderson Replacement.
Yeah,
It's
Anderson,
it's a subsidiary of Anderson Windows.
yeah.
They're
Yeah,
pretty good, and they're much cheaper than if you were buying the Anderson first off.
right. So they come in and they'll say like, if you do 2 windows this year, 2
Right.
windows next year, 2 windows the following year, this is the price, we'll spread it over. They make, it's a, it's a contract to sign with them, so it gets in the budget, and you can expense everything.
my only question would be, do they order all the windows at once then, or do they order 2 each year? Because I would be concerned that we order 2 windows this year, and then next year they say, oh, we can't get that window.
They custom fit them.
Hmm?
They come in, measure, and custom.
Well, no, I understand that.
If it's a contract, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. Once you have a
Yeah.
contract, it should be set. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good way to sort of budget it over the year, a couple of years, for this year, for next year, without, we don't have the money in the budget to break it up over 2 years, kind of. Just something to look at.
All right, so as far as follow-ups from you guys, we need to know the quote on the roof. I want to get them to re-massage the contribution from the town we believe for that.
Which we'll know on the 10th.
Right. We need to know the cost of the blinds and what that means you can do as far as this year allocating money towards the replacement of the windows. And then that allows us to conclude what the number should be for maintenance for next year. Right. And hopefully you get that back to us this month. what we owe you back is detail on the breakout of the gas and the heating fuel. How much is really being paid, how much should be charged to the firehouse and the fire company for the fuel that you're using. And we need to break up the detail on the insurance, including the OSAP and the cancer, as well as the workers' comp.
And separating that out into one of the insurance lines.
That's right, so we can all look at the same
Employee
numbers,
benefits line.
right?
Yeah, it just makes more sense.
All right,
And
so
I don't know if it, going back with the heat fuel, of how the bills come in, as far as I know, is I believe they all come in on one bill.
yeah,
I don't know if the company can separate it, so that way Nicole's not trying to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't we just get an invoice from Daily for the firehouse and an invoice from Daily for the
All right,
village hall?
we'll
So
talk
that
to
way
the
Nicole's
Are
not
you
trying
talking
to
about
figure
heating
out.
yeah.
No, they come in separately.
Okay,
Yeah, it's billed by account and location.
Okay.
okay,
And the only one that's not is like obviously the pumps that you guys are splitting.
okay.
But
So I
again,
think that is
there's no
separated
reason.
out. I know, for example, she separates out the heating fuel for the gym versus the offices in the village hall.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
two
she
different
can break
boilers.
out, yeah.
Okay.
When do we negotiate that contract with the companies?
Before their budget.
Yeah, Bob, you know what it's like in the fall?
Yeah, it's like hitting the Pocono River.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the
I
first.
can
It
follow up.
Their year starts January.
So-
I'll ask her.
Takes
Takes effect January first.
Just like always when we present it.
Right. They say that negotiating like sometimes like in May and June, you get cheaper rates than negotiating in the fall because the rates drop after the
Sure.
winter.
Some companies are allowing you now to do a 2-year contract.
Is that right?
Fix your rate, but who
Well,
knows what's gonna happen now?
Exactly.
that would be very attractive, just for the sake of not changing every 12 months, right?
But yeah,
What?
For half a penny, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you think
Yeah.
you should do a long-term
I
contract?
would think so.
So, Mike, that's
Back and
possible.
forth for half a cent.
That'd be a great
Exactly.
idea.
Depends on the
Constantly
companies, whether
changing
they're gonna
vendors
offer
for
that.
half a
That'd be a great idea.
They're in the driver's seat right now, so.
Yeah, sure.
They're making hand over fist
Yeah.
money, but.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, we had a discussion, right?
but if we're doing our budget like for June, the new budget starts in June.
The fiscal year starts in June, the
Yeah.
budget has to be closed by May 1st.
Right, so why aren't we negotiating fuel prices before that?
Because
Because
we're
we're-
contracted with the
January.
town.
We're tagging with the town because the town is a bigger user than we are. So because of that,
Get a bigger rate, better
We
rate.
get a better rate.
Right. Okay.
they do it distinctly fiscal year, which is January to December.
It could be hundreds of a cent per gallon or whatever.
Right. Okay.
Okay, those are the follow-ups, everybody agrees?
Yeah. Good by us.
Thanks, very good. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get you those.
Okay, thank you.
And let's make sure that before the final budget goes through, you looked at it and said, oh yeah, I understand what this is, and I agree. All right.
I could agree on that $60,000.
Well, that you recognize it, how's that?
I've the village has since 1997.
All right, Bob,
We all did it.
yeah, let's go with it.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike, appreciate the time.
Sorry.
Okay, Bob, got 2 pages worth.
Do I have a highway?
Yeah, we do highway, right? Aaron's already set up, ready to go.
Go.
So let me just say about the state aid that chips that top line pops up there. Do we need to even discuss it? I mean, I don't even know why we,
No,
I
we
mean,
have,
whatever we expend is taken out of revenue. It's like a 1-for-1.
it's a wash.
Yeah, it's a wash,
Right.
right.
But we need to budget something.
Really? Why? It's almost like, why is it even in there? Because this gives us a false sense of security if we,
Yeah, but it gives you a false, expense if you don't budget for it.
If we're doing a major
It's-
road,
It's best practice, it's
we have to
finance.
depend on chips to do
no,
that.
no, I'm saying,
No, I know what he's saying, don't budget for it in your expense or in your revenue.
right, because it all comes out as 1-for-1. We only get reimbursed what we spend with them, and the rest of it comes out of your line item for road paving.
I kind of, if you do that at this point, then you're gonna reduce your budget by $82,000. it's gonna kind of distort your budget by $82,000. I mean, you should have something budgeted in there.
All right, fine.
I mean, we have 54,000 left, right, Bob, in this current year. And then you get about 67 or 60 or so every.
It's been a little higher than that, but
And I expect it to jump again this year.
yeah, it probably will jump again.
When do we find out those new numbers?
What month is this?
This is March.
Probably like April.
Oh, good.
First,
And let's you, Karen, before you even got the memo, you found some way to tell us even earlier.
Just if they send out the letter.
Oh, okay, fine.
Um,
Okay, so
I
let's,
don't know, I think 82, it keeps it kind of consistent from year to year too, and not like if you spend 124,000 in one year and then you spend like 30,000 the next year, it's kind of all over the place.
So,
okay, it's not worth arguing, it's just,
can I just ask a question that I wanted to ask before the meeting? So year to date, we spent things $95,000 and change on things that could have qualified for chip money.
no, that did qualify for
And
chips.
they were reimbursed.
They were all of that was right.
That's right.
So, and we only budgeted 82,000 because we thought that's all we would get.
We
We just take like, at one point it was like 82,000, the annual like apportionment, so. We
Okay.
really don't account for the rollover because if Bob saves it up for 2 years and does a big project.
Yeah.
Okay.
My point is that it's just,
I was reading this as we
confusing.
overspent.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
yeah, that's why it's confusing, because the
Gotcha.
actual amount that we are reimbursed equals the actual amount that we spent.
Okay.
So revenue always equals expenses, and that thing that's the budget, which is an item in the revenue and in the expenses, is totally meaningless, has nothing to do with reality.
I believe at last year too, we weren't, we didn't know we were gonna get more than we
More.
were supposed to get. We were
Yeah.
supposed to be reduced a certain percentage, and then we ended up getting the 100%, so that's
Yeah,
why
they
we're
bumped
over.
it up to the third category, so
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a
Hopefully they'll-
placeholder is all it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
fine.
hopefully they continue to do that.
Let's go on to the really meaningful stuff for expenses.
Where do you want to start?
At the top,
Okay.
central garage equipment.
All right. Garage equipment, as you can see, we didn't spend anything on garage equipment, but I'd still like to keep make it a $2,000 for anything that comes up.
Like what fits in that category? Is that like tools and,
Chainsaws.
Okay, fine, all right.
Larger stuff, not, hammers and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
okay,
What I have an eye on is, I think I might need a new pressure washer, and that runs around 1,500.
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily gonna happen, but.
okay, fine.
Okay. Central garage, you can see we're over, that's garbage, Verizon, WB Mason, stuff like that. I really don't have much control over I know they just raised the garbage rates for the dumpster, so that had an impact on us, and Verizon is Verizon.
Okay.
WB Mason's pretty steady,
Mhm.
so we bumped that up to 3,000.
Okay.
Utilities, again, Central Hudson and cable, Central Hudson is what it is. We're still in pretty good shape, so, I think for the remaining 2 months, we should be under budget, so we left that, we went down to 3,000.
Mhm.
Gasoline, we're probably gonna go over a little bit, but, gasoline, the only gasoline we use is for chainsaws, and then during leaf season, we use it for the leaf back. We don't have any vehicles. So I think 650 should.
Well, if you use any, could you just bill a fire department?
Yeah.
Erase that from the tape, oh, she's gone.
But I have all those numbers.
Yeah, okay, fine, let's do it.
If they need, you know, if
Okay.
anybody needs to
We'll go
see
through
them,
that.
I record them, and the diesel is all recorded also.
Okay, fine.
So they can look, you can look at that, they can look at that anytime. Okay, heating fuel. Maybe I'm underestimating it too. I mean, we have,
Is this just of the garage?
this is just the garage, it's the only thing we heat,
Okay.
okay? I might be underestimating it a little bit, but I figure with the raise, you know, that gives us $3,800, you know, or well, the $850 will probably get us through. We just had a fill up, so it probably will get us through the rest of.
You had a fill-up that was included in the numbers you
I
said?
believe so, yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, good.
If not, then we're probably gonna be at budget.
Okay.
So I raised it to 3,000. Again, that might be a little under, I don't know what the raise.
Okay.
But we only use, I shut the burner off most of the year, and we only turn it on during the winter,
All
so
right.
we don't use it for hot water.
What do you think about the plumbing out there in the bathroom?
It's for, you know, in the summertime,
Oh, okay, fine.
yeah. Once it gets warm, we just shut it
Yeah,
off.
okay, fine. Okay.
And again, we don't use hot water, so it's not that big a deal.
All right.
All right, where do we go? Heating fuel. Okay, repairs and maintenance.
Well, wait, supplies.
Oh, supplies.
Let's not forget, again, this year.
Yeah. Supplies,
Yeah.
supplies are.
So just so Peter knows the story, last year, because of what the breakout categories, and in the process of breaking up the categories, we missed about $32,000 of expenses that didn't make it into the budget. So that's why you'll see some budget items this year that are blank,
Yes.
and that was a real, oops,
They're up.
yeah.
So supplies.
With our new process that we're putting in place.
Yeah, I think this is gonna work.
That's why we're being very careful this year.
The supplies, the garage supplies are replenishables. From toilet paper to anything that we have to continue to buy. It's not like a hammer or, you know, stuff like that. So we're at 44.84 now. I don't expect a whole lot more for the rest of the year, you know. So I think 6,000 will cover for next year. Maybe there's another 1,000 worth of things this year, or more or less.
I'm sorry, Bob, tell me again what that's for?
Replenishables, anything, toilet paper, paper for the computer, what else?
Water.
There must be some bigger categories than that in there.
Cleaning items inside the garage, cleaning items for the trucks, all that type of thing. Anything that's used inside the garage, it's not for something we would paint outside or something like that. It would strictly be things that we use inside the garage.
So your W.B. Mason, do they deliver that or?
Yeah, that's water.
Okay.
WD Mason is water. That's the only thing.
There's gonna be
Oh,
something
well,
bigger.
yeah, we get some paid, you know, some small items,
What kind of water?
but drinking water.
Yeah. They have a drinking thing up, drinking setup. You know, with the big 5-gallon thing,
It's all village water.
A lot.
there's no water out there. What do you call it, take a hose out there? or-
Out where?
Oh, yeah, this is at the garage.
There's no village, you're not on village water?
Yeah.
We have a bathroom sink.
Yeah.
No, regular.
The plumbing is old,
So
so
it's not cold.
it's looking for a toilet, wash your hands.
Yeah.
Kind of akin to the water fountains in the village.
That is the bill that big?
No,
It's
it's
like
not.
$373 a year, a month.
What, $373 a
No.
month?
It's, well, if you're looking at supplies at $4,484 that you
Oh, yeah.
already spent,
Oh, yeah,
it's $373 a month in toilet paper and paper towels.
that's what I'm saying, there's something big you're missing.
I'll go over what it is. it's not a, WP Mason, it's like $30.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know why that
Well, she's right, there's something big that you're missing.
like why that would be in your supplies and why that would be in your, you said it was like in your equipment or something like that, or whatever it was, the central garage, you said it was up there in another line, you mentioned it, so.
Nineteen, 40419.
Okay. Any kind of cleaning materials that we use, Northern Safety, which are gloves, goggles,
Those are expensive. I know.
disposable gloves,
Very expensive.
gloves that we use, warm gloves, all of the rear and brakes items. Again, buy a broom, we buy a rake, anything like that. What else? Small tools, we buy a hammer, we buy any kind of grease gun, anything like that. It all comes out of that category. So you'll see, cable ties, loose, hand sanitizer. We spent a ton this year on hand sanitizer and wipes and all that good stuff. So that's all part of that. Paper towels, go through a lot of paper towels. What else? Any repair items, like if we have to fix a toilet tank, things like that, all come under that category. All right, is that answer?
Yep.
Okay, I mean, it still befuddles me how it can be that much, but,
Well, a case of gloves, I know, like disposable gloves, when we buy them, they're $60 to $70.
yeah, okay.
But, I mean, there are 3 people using them, I don't know how long it takes them to go through and what they're using them for, but stuff like that right now is very expensive.
Right.
Sanitizer, like, I
I'll just
know-
watch it, because when I see it, like, the water and stuff like that, it's like $20, $30 on a monthly basis. Not even that much, I guess like 20 minus the deposit.
Yeah, it's something like
When you buy clothes, you buy shoes, right?
that. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll watch it, because I myself don't see how it's $500 a month.
Well,
Well, it's not, like,
check out the price of tools.
Yeah, okay, but how do you
Yeah.
go with the tools?
We use different things, and
I know
sometimes screws, whatever. It adds up. And like I said, just take a look at that list, and that's probably the biggest list of anything.
So we'll keep our eyes on it as we see the monthly invoices. Just see what it is.
Well, like I said, everything's broken
I
down
know.
here.
Repairs and maintenance,
I just want to, hit a mechanic's drill bit set, $228. One of the every tarp that we use, $227. Things like that are all, a tail light for one of the, well, no, that's a different category. So it is, like I said, chainsaw files, $91. That stuff
all right,
is not cheap. Okay, where are we next?
repairs and maintenance. And I assume that's of the equipment that you have, not of the vehicles.
Okay, repairs and maintenance, that's the building,
Yeah, I'm going up before.
okay?
All right.
I put $1,500, but that's in case of an emergency. We have no repairs coming up on the building. Roof, windows, doors, everything is done. Everything has been done that needs to be done. So there shouldn't be any repairs. Garage doors have all been taken care of. So unless something unexpected happens, like the only thing I can think of would be the oil burner, and that's in good shape. So I don't see any expense there, but I put that in just as a buffer in case. onward to,
Oh, wait, so look at the totals there. So the budget for last year was 13,700. It didn't have the 6,000 for the supplies. So that'd be 19,700. But you've only spent 11,000 so far year to date. And you're on a rate to spend maybe 14,000, right?
I don't have a total.
No, I'm saying, you don't have the budget? Look at this sheet
Not
here.
for that, not separated out.
No, I'm looking at the total for central garage. It's 13,700, budget for this year, going to 19,150 next year, your proposed. And that's because of the 6,000 we missed with the supplies, right?
Correct.
So all I'm saying is if you put the 6,000 in this year's budget, it'd be a budget of 19,700. And you only spent 11,000 so far on a path to spend maybe 14,000 by year end.
It might be a little bit more.
Yeah. Why?
It can't be much more.
No, it can't be much more. So I'm saying, why is the total 19,000 as opposed to like, say, 15?
You don't have the 6,000 in there.
No, I'm saying, what I'm looking at is the actuals year to date, which includes 4,500 supplies,
Okay,
right? The total's 11,000,
okay.
right? So I'm saying, take 11,000, extrapolate for 12 months, and let's say you get to 15,000. Why isn't that total more like 15,000 as opposed to 19,000?
Well, we also, don't forget, we also increased for heating, for gasoline, and, all these things that, not big increases, but
No.
little increases because we don't really know.
But, yeah, the heating fuel up $4, the gasoline up $50.
We spent nothing on equipment
Yeah,
last year. So that, again, we can take that 2,000 off, but if something comes up.
well, I agree you should have something in there. I'm just thinking that in the aggregate, 19,000 sounds like too much, given what you spent year to date. And you're not saying you have any anticipated. Of course, there could be surprises next year,
Yeah.
but there's nothing you know of.
Yeah, no, we can, if you want to zero out that equipment line, we can do that. Hopefully nothing happens, and if it does, we have to find it somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, you leave something in there just so we have a place.
I know I don't have anything scheduled to be bought, let's put it that way.
Yeah, okay.
Something would have to fail. And I just put that in as a company, but it can be, that can be eliminated.
I don't, what do you think? What?
I don't have a problem with it if you want to take it out.
I'd really take out just 1,000 of that and take 1,000 out of what?
Bring repairs and maintenance down a little bit? 500 or so, or
Yeah.
you're not anticipating much? You said right now.
Yeah, we could bring down the building repair too.
You're being
Again.
too fiscally responsible here. That's the problem.
No, we can
Well, there's too many. What if something happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And
I
if
just,
you keep
like I
buffering it,
said,
then all of a sudden you find yourself out of sync. So all I'm saying is, Bob, go back and look at where you can take out a couple thousand.
Well,
I'm
we
thinking
can-
like 3,000.
we can take out 500 off of the,
But why don't you go back and work your numbers yourself?
Okay.
All right. But I just think that a budget of 19,150, given that you've only spent 11,000 year to date, expected to spend no more than 15,000 by year end. And you're not saying you've got things in the horizon that will bump that up. It says to me 19,000 is too high.
Good.
All right.
It's also not a huge number compared to a lot of the
It's
other
not,
stuff
you're right.
we're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Blinds are 12 grand. It's like,
Yeah, okay, you're right.
all right.
All right, well, fine, we'll give him that comment. Let's wait till you complete your whole thing, we'll come back and discuss that. Okay, that's a fair point. All right, so for the professional services, the salary, let's leave the budget in as what it is right now, okay?
Okay.
So, and we'll talk about budgets in executive session at the end. Kind of, we'll leave it as where it is today. and then we'll talk about what's left over once we get the whole thing put together. Okay, Bob?
Okay.
So go ahead to the next line, summer mowing.
Okay. All right, so, 5102, that was the plow.
Yes.
We decided to go with chips.
All right, so summer mowing, you zeroed out?
Yeah,
It's still
summer
zero?
mowing, we're gonna
Okay,
be
fine.
doing that, right?
Good.
What is that?
So,
The equipment?
Summer mowing?
Well, summer mowing, we used to have,
we used to have a
Contractual.
company mow all the properties.
which was mainly the Thorn building and the band shell. And when it turned over to the MCP, whatever it is, we said that you guys take care of your own. And then with the remainder, I asked Bob if they could go back and see if they could do it.
And which is Village Hall,
Yeah.
Firehouse, Marsh, or Lot, and the tennis courts, which they still think we should figure out something there since we don't own it. But those are the properties.
I think I said that to you one time last year, and you said, oh, we're already there, and
Well,
what's
if-
two
if
swap
they own
versus
the
one
whole
swap?
thing now, I mean, or 90% of it,
Yeah,
Who's they?
school.
the school. This is the whole thing about the gazebo. Who owns
Yeah.
the gazebo? They do. Who owns the tennis courts? We do. What's the little entry path from Elm?
Yeah, the rest of that lot. I mean, it's no big deal, we mow it.
That's what you said this summer.
Yeah, and we also mow the properties, the two water properties.
Yeah.
And,
Well, plus you also use the town when you can, like to do the water. I bet you did. I said, while you're out there, just stop
we
on by.
mow the whole
Oh,
thing,
there you go. Okay. All right.
and the water tower. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, we don't have anything there. As far as the 5500, that was the plow.
The new plow we got for the new truck.
We're still trying to work out with Chip, so I don't have any other street equipment that we're purchasing.
So you zeroed that out. That's good.
So the plows are, the plows, the sanders, everything like that.
Good for 10 years.
Is good. Yeah, well, yeah, they better be, since we got the Chip money.
That's right. Okay, good.
All right, next. Road paving.
Mhm.
We had a $30,000 budget on that. We didn't use very much of it because this year we used chips on it.
Well, because we're trying to take care of the
Take
$32,000
care
we
of
missed.
32,000.
Okay.
This year, as everyone knows, the main ingredient in blacktop is oil. So any expense we do with blacktop, I raise it to 35. We need to do more blacktopping, and the biggest thing we need to do is oil and stone
So
existing
So
roads.
can you give us a list of what your plans are? Like, where are you going to own the stone? Which streets? Which streets do you want to pave? What's your priority?
Well, the paving we'll do separately.
Okay, fine.
Oil and stone, for those of you who don't know what it is, when a road has been paved, that road needs to be kept up with or it will deteriorate a lot faster. So we have two roads that are in serious need of oil and stoning, and that's Nine Partners and Linden Lane. They're basically breaking up. And what oil and stoning is, the company comes in, they lay down oil, and right behind it, they lay down the gravel. And when you've driven through it, it's a mess, but within a day, it's, it seems like just like a regular road. It prevents water from getting under the road, which is what makes, cracks and potholes. So those are the two main ones, and they're gonna be expensive because Nine Partners is 1.5 miles long. It's gonna be inexpensive.
How much?
probably going to be about 18 to 20,000.
For the both Linden Lane and,
Linden's probably going to be 3 or 4.
so it's
So we're
18
gonna
plus
be-
4,
So we're going to be at least 20,000, maybe a little bit.
so 22,000 for those two,
Yeah.
okay.
And, but those have to, I have other roads that need it, but unless there's money left over, those 2 roads have to, because if not, we're going to lose it.
Fine.
Then it's going to be a very,
When does
Big
Maple?
Maple's still okay.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Like, what is the criteria, 4 years or?
Yeah, I usually try to go like 5 years, and that road's staying in great shape.
Okay,
There's no, and the other roads that I want to do, we did last year with crack sealing. And when you look at the road, you see those like, squiggly lines that are black. That's crack sealing. I also want to do that this year on a couple roads.
where?
I want to do anything that's on Maple, which there isn't a lot. I need to go back onto a little bit onto Safari. What was the other road?
Pilgrim Lane,
What's that?
What?
Pilgrim Lane.
Nice try.
Yeah, no, they're unfortunately,
He's got to do the election first.
yeah, you gotta do the electric first.
Ah,
We're-
didn't
we're-
they done that too long ago?
No, there's so many roads above
I know.
that need to be done.
I
That,
know.
we try.
So many high volume roads.
Yes.
That's our problem, is that it's not high volume roads out.
And the worse they get, the more expensive it is.
Yep.
And,
All right, how much for the crack
the
ceiling?
worst road in the whole village is the village garage parking lot. As you can, I mean, it's a horror. But,
I don't want to hear
oh, come on, try plowing it. See the blacktop flying up. But,
it. Okay, how much for the crack ceiling?
crack sealing would be,
Estimate,
probably about, based on last year, about 6,000.
okay. So what's the additional 7,000 for? You got
Any
32,000?
I put in there for any drag boxing that we might have to do. And if we don't have to do a lot of that, then we'll do some more crack sealing, see if I can get a small oil and stone
Okay,
job out of it. But again, that number is so, like everything else with the oil,
sure.
it's all the oil.
It's upward exposed.
Hopefully we can come in with that. Okay.
But again, we're going to be using CHIPS money for any paving we have done,
Yeah,
right?
CHIPS money won't pay for oil and stoning because
10-year life.
it has to have a 10-year life. So CHIPS money can be used for equipment, it can be used for anything that we can show that it's a 10-year life. Oil and stoning doesn't have that.
I don't know if you're ready today, but I do want you to tell us sometime like this month what your plan is, what your priority is for paving roads this year, and what's the estimated cost for
Okay,
it.
we got,
All right, so don't do it now.
I can go that right now, I got it.
No, finish this first.
Okay.
And then we'll
I've-
finish,
I've
if you
got-
got it now, it's good, let's do it.
I've got the estimates, I've got
Great.
everything we need.
Okay, good, go ahead.
All right, so where are we next?
The tree budget is being moved, what's the story?
Okay. A big part of that streets where you see the 28,005
Yeah,
was $15,000 for trees. I'd like to move that to the Shade Tree Commission because they have complete control over it now. And they should, it should be their budget because they're figuring out where the trees, they want to buy trees, where they want to take down
so I gotta tell you,
trees
I'm really surprised
and stumps.
that $15,000 was in there for trees. It really catches me off guard, I did not know that. I'm aware of $2,000 in our budget, specific line item for trees. And I know that we have a account for the tree gardens, $7,700.
They don't pay for removing trees, removing stumps.
Well, you're saying this covers the removal?
Yeah, this is cutting down trees.
15,000 for cutting down trees?
Yeah.
Is that right? Well, that's something I don't want to move out of your budget,
Why?
because that's something you do,
We don't do, no.
huh?
That's,
But you oversee the contract, right? That's not something we,
Yeah, but I don't determine, we don't determine what comes down or where trees are planted.
No, you're still supposed to be identifying, hey, look, that thing looks
Oh,
bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
like-
right, you tell the tree, committee,
All
Right.
right, no, we can, if you
I
want
still
to,
think
I just think it's,
no, because then when the decision is made, yes, if that tree goes down, you contact out on a limb, you go over there and help them or whatever, right?
yeah,
So I don't want to take you out of that loop.
okay.
you have the expertise for that. I would say that you should do that.
Well, I'm not making the call on the tree.
I know. No, first off, you are identifying trees that you say are a problem.
Right,
Or somebody calls you and say, hey, Bob, take this tree down. Right, you're in that loop.
yeah, but I'm directing it toward the tree. committee.
Fine, but when they come back and say yea or nay, then you're going to do your
All right,
thing.
that's,
Okay. So 15,000 of that is for tree removal,
tree removal
trunk grinding.
and stump grinding.
Okay. All right. So that goes back in.
So
So
is it 15 or 8? Because I see 8.
8 was with the tree removal out
He
of
took
it.
the 8, he took the 15 out, so that should then go up to 23.
Right.
And before it was 28.5.
That, that other 8 is for, if we have to put signs up, if we have to put a new catch basin in, if I have to put any type of infrastructure.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, catch basin, grates, and unfortunately, that stuff is expensive, but we rebuild a lot of it ourselves, so that we don't have to buy the actual bases. But when we did, Merrick, we replaced all kinds of tops, so when you do a road, I expect, like, if we do North Avenue, we'll probably have a couple things we have to replace.
Yeah, okay,
Not that
sure.
many.
Yeah, okay.
Not like Merrick. So that's what the 8 was for, taking out the 15 for tree removal. So,
Okay, before we add the 15 back and make it to 23, year to date, you've only spent 13.7. We've had a lot of tree work done this year.
that's not counting the last tree.
Okay, that big tree there, which was
So
like $3
that's-
grand.
I think he's gonna come in around 2 or 25.
It's amazing. Anyways.
Well, that's because we have a good rapport with him.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that.
You know, that's,
Because he makes so much money on my tree that he's able to give me
There you
a
go.
discount.
That-
There's
that's what he
another
pretty much
argument
said,
for
we'll
keeping
make it
you
on
in
that.
this loop, Bob.
Yeah,
what's
sure.
that?
Another argument for keeping you in this here.
Well,
That's really.
I'm gonna be real honest with you. What happened with this tree removal was, this one tree, was they called in another expert. So you're saying to my tree guy that he doesn't have the expertise. And when I questioned it, I said, why are we doing that? Oh, it's a conflict of interest. Now we're questioning his integrity. And luckily,
okay.
oh yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, Bob, let's move on.
But
We're
I'm
not-
just
we're not
saying, that's why we can't, I don't wanna lose the guy, but
Don't lose the guy.
that's.
Don't step away from the responsibility you have, which is to
Oh,
identify.
no, I told I was
Good.
very clear on that.
All right, so it goes back in the
I continue to do
budget.
that, and I'll be the liaison between them and,
Good.
unless they
Before
want
we
to
add
change.
15,000 back to the 8, you've got to give you 23,000. If you're only at 13.7 year to date, why should it be going to 23?
Well, we're not at 13, we'll be at least 15.6.
Okay, 15.6, I'll give you 17. Why is it not 17 as opposed to 23?
I gotta put that 8 in there.
No,
The eight's
I'm
fine
saying
with me.
the 8 is there before we add 15 to the 8 to get 23.
Yeah,
I want to know why, given your year-to-date performance and how bad the year was as far as tree work, why I can't say that number should be more like 17 instead of 23.
well then it'll all be tree, I'll have nothing for anything else. Not even,
No, okay, 13,656 you've done year-to-date. That includes all the trees and everything else you've done, right? So I'm saying, why shouldn't that number prorate it for the rest of the year? I'll give you 16, like 17, or be conservative. Huh?
because you're gonna eat it up with one bad tree year. And I have nothing for,
No, my point is, this was a bad tree year.
not really, we didn't take that many trees down,
How many trees do you think you took down?
7, 8.
I was gonna say 10, okay, that's close.
And we did a couple thousand on stumps.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah, you did stump work too. So I just don't know why it needs to be 23, given that you've done all the
What's an
work
average
this
tree
year.
year?
I'm sorry?
What's an average tree year?
10,000, 11,000, it's, you can't, this is what I said, there's no,
No, that's true for every budget item. It's always
No,
an
it's
estimate. Yeah, it is. How many things can you
you
predict?
can't predict stuff like that. I mean, it could be, we could have a huge storm and 10 trees come down. How do you, you know, you can't, there's no way.
All I'm trying to do is build upon what we did today, this year, which I think was a very active year. You don't need 10 trees for a year is active?
Okay, whatever. If that's
No,
what
don't
you
be
wanna do.
whatever.
No, you're cutting me, if we have the same type of year this year, or a little worse with trees, then you're leaving me with $3,000 or $4,000 to do infrastructure. That's, if I have to put in one catch basin at $2,500, I'm done, you know, that's it, my budget's done.
Wait, you're saying in that line in there is also catch basin stuff?
Yeah, it's infrastructure, that 8,000 I put in for infrastructure,
Okay.
signage.
How much infrastructure did you do this year that made up the 13,006?
I'd have to, I don't.
Roughly,
I,
top of your head.
I don't know, off the top of my head, I'd have to go over each number.
Off the top of my head, I don't think you did much. Colin Lane, no. Who else have we paid?
Not just, no, it's not paid, it's.
No, I'm saying before you paid, you go and do the,
I put
replace
two,
the,
I put 2 new catch basins on 9 partners.
yeah.
I've replaced at least 6 grates
Oh, okay.
on things. We've put in new piping in several different places. I mean, you know, some of it we get, some of it we get from the town, but,
Yeah, right.
you know,
Right.
but, you know, then we owe them, but,
You owe them by going and you're directing traffic when they're doing their thing out in Neverland.
or they come and grab something from us.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So my point is, I don't agree with putting 15,000 on top of the 8.
I don't either, I think you should go to the tree.
No, it's not. I think the total number ought to be like 17. Tell me why not?
I just told you, and then that leaves me, if we have a bad tree year, it leaves me with nothing to do infrastructure with. We're doing North Avenue. I have no idea what we're gonna need to replace there.
Wait, so when we do North Avenue, we have to replace some infrastructure. That comes out of here, not CHIPS?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
You can't use CHIPS money for that? Why not?
because it's,
Let's have a 10-year look.
No. When we do infrastructure, like replace the drains, storm drains,
no,
how come not? They stay there the life of the road.
they don't accept it.
There's a pretty explicit list online. We could double check.
Yeah, I know, it's signs, not electric signs.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
it's not bad.
All right, can we go back to this line? Keep moving on.
Sure.
I mean, I can give you, I'll add up the total of what we did with infrastructure if you'd like, but,
No,
break
go
out,
back and
like-
look at this
we
number. I
didn't
think,
come back to
Can
it.
you break out the trees and the infrastructure?
Yeah.
Because that would be helpful.
and 15 to the 8 is too high. Very much you've done here. Because it was a busy year. All right, we'll go back to that. Let's move on.
All right, where were we?
Diesel.
Diesel, I raised it 1,000 because we're already over, and
Mhm.
the price of diesel is gonna go up,
Makes sense.
we know that. And we used a lot of diesel this year because of this winter. The trucks were running constantly. Training, you know,
Yeah, fine. Placeholder.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, vehicle repair.
What about the supplies and the repairs and
Oh, did I
maintenance?
say it right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, they put in, oh, okay, my sheet, it's a different order, I'm sorry.
These are ones we forgot last year as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, this was also in that section. Supplies are anything we use outside, posts for trees, paint, rope, concrete, small patching jobs, things like that. We don't use a lot of it, it's, you know, so I put 12 in there.
1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
actually, some of that, we have to figure out a way. We paid for some of the business association expenses because we had to get them
Because they don't have an account.
because they don't have an account at
But
Williams.
they have an account now.
No, they don't. Not at Williams.
That's what Kevin told me.
Oh, he never told me that.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
that's, you know,
I'll confirm
You
that.
should be able to give them the receipts and they can reimburse you.
No, you have to explain that. We can't do that.
Tax. They have the taxes on them. And ours, we're tax exempt, so our accounts don't have that on there.
We were always doing that, but since we had that audit, that stopped.
Okay.
So,
Alright, I'll talk to Kevin, see if he has an account there, and I'll let you know.
yeah, I've
Okay,
asked
good.
him several times to do one at Williams, but apparently the business people want everything to stay in
Well,
Millbrook.
which makes
but-
sense.
Which makes sense, because we're the Millbrook business,
Mhm.
you should know
Except
the
that
Pleasant
you can't
Valley.
buy everything in Millbrook.
Right.
You know.
Okay,
Rear Briggs doesn't carry wood, you know.
Yeah.
Things
Okay.
like that, so.
okay, I'll ask Kevin.
Good.
So you just wanna make sure we get that going. So anyway, that's for that. Okay, we're at supplies. All right, repair and maintenance.
That's your vehicles, your brand new vehicles, shouldn't be much. But what is all this?
Repair and maintenance is things like small engine repair. If the Kubota needs to have its its yearly service at $450. Any service we might do on the leaf blower, that type of thing. And most of that we do in-house,
Mm-hmm.
but some stuff we can't do. So I put that in as $1,000.
So what is this vehicles? This is not your big pickup, or your big
No,
dump
no,
trucks?
no. That's repair and maintenance.
I see, okay.
That salt thing that Jeff repaired, would that be
That would have been, yeah,
under this?
yeah. What we repaired.
He's talking repair and maintenance, not vehicle repair and maintenance.
Correct.
He's on line 20,
Oh,
Tim.
oh, okay, fine,
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, line 20.
Okay, 'cause you already covered training, so I guess I.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
Okay, fine, so
The
repair and maintenance.
list I have is back, you guys changed it to put the numbers in order. She gave me a list that they're not in order. It goes from 13 to 21 to 20
Like
to
the last year, that
19.
makes me very
So
nervous, but I
I'm
guess
trying
we'll be
to-
very
I'm
careful.
trying to go back and forth.
Karen's got the master list, so, okay,
We're
Okay,
gonna,
so
we're gonna
following
go
this
back
list,
together.
okay,
we
good,
did repair and maintenance,
got it,
correct? Training, we know what's going on.
yeah,
Okay, vehicle
Yes.
vehicle repair and maintenance.
right,
I have that at 20 because I already know what we're gonna be spending.
tell us.
And, on the 2015 sander, I need a new conveyor chain and bearings and a new top screen for the sander. That is going to be an expense of $3,600.
Mhm.
It has to, those things have to be done. What that is, that's the chain that pulls the salt out of the sander and dumps it down, and it works on bearing, and they go. That sander's now 7 years old, so we haven't done anything to it. Next thing, I'm going to need 6 tires for the 2011 dump truck, at a cost of $2,200. 2 tires for the 2015 at a cost of $800. And we're gonna need
800?
800. And we're gonna need 2 rear tires for the backhoe at a cost of $1,600. They're $800 a piece. And then 4 yearly services on, a yearly service on the 4 dump trucks. That averages about $400 to $500, and that's
Total,
Yeah, no, 18. That's per truck.
okay,
And because they're diesel, it's a diesel service. It's all the filters, the oils, the all that
Mhm.
stuff. that's 1,800.
Okay.
So that's a big chunk of it right there. And